has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. I'll give you this much, Mike. I think that the TGL or whatever, the golfers are actually as loose as a goose, fun. They're laughing, they're joking, their interviews are cooler. They're a lot different on this than they are on tour when they're out there with the CBS people or NBC or whoever doing like a tour stop, like whether it was the Genesis or whether it's the Open Championship. They're all business and they barely, smile. They're very serious. They're golfing and for big money. But in this, they're just totally having fun and having a blast. And I think it's fantastic seeing them this loose. It was a lot like that first swing where they're loose and you get to know them a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good big part of it is seeing the other side of these guys because you don't see that on a regular Thursday through Sunday on the PGA Tour. They can relax a little. They're not playing for $3.3 million. They're just playing for a little bit less than that.
All right, Jerry Palm is the great bracketologist from CBS. He's not only that, he's offered many times to beat up Mike DeCourcy, Joe Lenardi, and I've taken him every time on the board at great odds, and Jerry has never let me down fiscally. He always wins in fistfights with the other wannabe bracketologists that just can't live up to his standard. I want to start with this, Jerry. Always good to see you, buddy. I have noticed that Wisconsin is the one team that is, it seems to me, that has had no fear of going to Mackey and playing in West Lafayette over the last few years, whereas everyone else goes there and gets their ass beat. I was not surprised that they went in there and gave them a game, but I was surprised they beat them by 10.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised either. Wisconsin seems to have produced number a little bit.
Okay, we got to fix Jerry's mic, and then we'll get him on immediately. Let's see if they can get that squared away. So anyway, we're watching the golf, and then I'm sitting here talking about basketball with Jerry, and all I know is I watched that game with the Badgers. That's a lot better. Let's go back to them. All right, so I asked you about Wisconsin and how they've done against the Boilermakers. We don't have him. All right, let's go to Mike. Mike, did you watch the game with Wisconsin and Purdue at all on Saturday? Mike's not there either. This is going well. I have to tell you, it's just fantastic. Anyway, I did watch the game, and I couldn't believe that they beat them by 10. I think the Badgers have a really good team. I love their guard play. They mean business. They get to the 10. They just kept attacking the rack on Saturday at Mackey, and I thought they controlled that game. I watched Auburn and Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and I thought, Auburn handled them. And I thought Broom played big from the jump. He had 8 points early, and I thought they pretty much had their way with the Tide in Tuscaloosa. I mean, Duke stomped Stanford. That was at Cameron Indoor. Now let's go back to Jerry Palm. What was your reaction to that great guard play that the Badgers had at Mackey? They just got to the 10 and got all the buckets. They had 4-point plays. They had it all going.
Yeah, 72% shooting in the second half. 72. Some teams don't shoot 72% in the layup line. I mean, that's just incredible. So how do you overcome that? I mean, just they couldn't get in front of them. They couldn't get behind them. They couldn't get anywhere defensively with this team. And obviously, if you're shooting 72%, you're just at a magic level, and sometimes the defense doesn't matter. And Wisconsin just played an exceptional second half, and that's why they were able to win this game. And I moved them up to the 2 seed that Purdue had. I switched them. So now Wisconsin is the highest ranked team from the Big Ten in the bracket as of this morning.
And I said to you earlier, and real quick on this, because I got a lot of other stuff I want to ask you about. They seem to be the team that isn't afraid to play in West Lafayette. All these other Big Ten teams go in there and they bend over.
Yeah, Wisconsin has got Purdue's number generally. I mean, that's the team that Purdue has the most trouble with, consistent trouble with, is Wisconsin.
Let me ask you. So that's really crazy that you moved them to 2 and 3, and I think it was the right move by you. Everything you do is right, but that is a smart move. I want to ask you. You have St. John's as a 4. They have been unbelievable. They were down 10 to Creighton, and they still got it done at the Garden. How dangerous do you think Pitino's team is going into the tournament? I don't care about the Big East tournament. I care about the NCAA.
Yeah, well, as they continue to see, they didn't have any quality wins at all 2 weeks ago, none. And then they beat Marquette, and they beat UConn, and now they beat Creighton. So they get more and more confidence in their ability to beat great teams as they go through the rest of their backloaded conference schedule. So if they can continue to play like this and maybe take one more loss or maybe 2 more losses if they don't win their conference tournament, this is going to be a dangerous team. If they can avoid the kind of a slump that erodes confidence, St. John's is going to be a dangerous team in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and you have them in that same bracket with Auburn and Purdue, and A&M is the 2 in that South. That is going to be a hell of a region. They all are, obviously. You have in the West, Florida the 1, Wisconsin the 2. Florida continues to, I think, show everyone that they mean business. They win big games.
They do. Well, they've got the best win anybody can get. They won at Auburn. That's the best win. But they don't have a lot of those kinds of wins because they didn't really play a good non-conference schedule. So when you look at their resume compared to some of these other teams in their league and outside their league, they don't have the high-quality wins, the number of high-quality wins that some of these other teams do. But, when they get high-quality wins, they are high-quality wins. And Auburn is certainly one of them, and they beat Tennessee soundly as well. So, yeah, this is a team that's proving that it's pretty good. And the committee obviously felt they were worthy of a 1 seed, and I agree with them on that. So, yeah, 1 seed kind of team right now.
And I think that, it's going to – if I look at your bracket, I say Iowa State and Wisconsin will meet, and then the winner of that game will meet Florida for the right to go to the Final Four. And that's in the West region. And in the East, you have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the 2 best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Yeah, first one to 50 wins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Houston's obviously they've built that program on defense. So that's their calling card. That's what they do. Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense as much as I trust their defense, but I trust both ends of the floor on Duke.
So in that Midwest, you have Bama 1, Tennessee 2. You have Michigan State the 4. I think Michigan State's like Purdue and Wisconsin, very tough physical team. I think they can do some damage in that Midwest region.
Yeah, I agree. Michigan State, by the way, Purdue's at Michigan State Tuesday this week. So Purdue's got to be careful they don't turn a 2-game losing streak into 4 because they have to go to IU after that. But Michigan State got a big win at Illinois, and then you got the record for Tom Izzo for most by a coach in the Big Ten. But yeah, Michigan State is always tough, and they've got guys that can score and take over a game. But defensively and rebounding, they're always one of the best.
So Jerry's got Texas, BYU, Arkansas against West Virginia, Quinnipiac against Southeast Missouri, American against Southern in those first 4 games in Dayton. Jerry, great stuff. We'll catch up with you again next week or the week after for sure. We'll keep talking college rack till the tournament's over.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
So, Mike, I kind of already talked about Auburn and Duke winning, and that Cooper Flagg might go back to Duke for another season. I'll believe that when it is in clearer focus. I'm not going to put him back in Durham quite yet. Let's see what they do in the NCAA tournament. If he wins a national championship, I could still see him going number one in the NBA, and we'll see how that goes. But I talked to Jerry about Florida. I mean to tell you, they went to South Carolina and beat the snot out of them. And, I mean, some teams have gone in there and lost in Columbia to that team. They're not any good, but they give them problems in Columbia. Florida had no such problem whatsoever, and they just continue to impress. Jerry's got him as a number one seed.
He certainly does. The tournament committee did, too. I'm going to give you that in a moment. They did their little 1 month out, what their top 16 seeds are, and they have Florida at the top of that list. One thing I'll say about Flagg, remember, this is like how we talk about the quarterbacks in college football now. He can make a lot of money if he stayed another year at Duke. Like, a lot of money. Like, what they give the kid at BYU? They gave the kid at BYU $7 million next year, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I heard
Flagg's worth more than that?
I heard that's high. And now I heard that's not true. But we'll see. Like, I could see. Like, I actually heard in reality it was like $3.5 million. But who knows? I mean, if the guy got $7 million, good for him. I heard it's more like $3.5 million.
So you mentioned Florida. Tennessee beat Vandy. Vandy covered that game though. Nice job by them. Houston beat Arizona by 4. Wisconsin beat Purdue. That's a good win for Wisconsin coming down the stretch. Texas A&M beat Arkansas. I have a couple coaches who were a little upset after their losses this weekend. Calipari will be the first one that I am going to go to for you with this. So with Arkansas, as you know, they've been playing better, but they haven't quite been getting the wins. And I will give Luke a chance to get Cal up. We got because we're
there. You go.
There's Cal. Cogs they really needed to beat the Aggies. Here we go.
Normally, you say you are what your record says you are. But in this league, the way this is, you just got to get it going at the right time. And I thought we did. And they're really good too. This team is really good. Guess what? We had a chance at both of them.
but we didn't. And for us to bust through, we're going to have to beat somebody. We can say what we want. Like, I wanted to make sure they weren't happy we're going to be okay. No. If we won that game, say it, we're in the tournament. If we won that game, we're in the tournament. So it's not okay to say we'll be all right. Now you're going to have to go get somebody else.
Boy, Cal.
Yeah,
okay.
listen.
Yelling at him.
I mean, honestly, like right now, is it me or it seems like they could be, first four out?
It seems like they could be. They're right in that area, but I get his point. They've played well against these top 10 teams, Texas A&M, Alabama, but they're not crossing the finish line. They got to get one of these games at some point if they're going to actually get themselves in the mix. Iowa State beat Cincinnati, Michigan State beat Illinois, Texas Tech big win, Texas beat Kentucky, Ole Miss lost to Mississippi State, Clemson beat FSU. All right, we always give Luke big moments here with St. John's. It's rare that Mafia's had any this year with Seton Hall, and they had a big upset Saturday night at the Rock. They beat UConn 69-68 in overtime. Here we go on Fox.
They call a TO. Ball, lost it. Middleton's got it. It's around the rim and in. Seton Hall leads by 1. 2.7 left. Diarra at the buzzer. Off the rim. Seton Hall. That's all. What an upset. Middleton with the bucket that gets it done in the upset of the year in the Big East.
Yeah, listen, that's a huge win for the Hall and the governor with the call.
Always good to hear the governor. I knew that was a double reason why I put that call in. Governor and something nice for Mafia Seton Hall Pirates. They haven't had many this year. Sunday, Luke did get his win. St. John's beat Creighton 79-73. Memphis was upset by Wichita State. I watched the end of the Michigan-Ohio State game because I was waiting for the golf to come on, and Michigan ended up getting the win by 3, 86-83. Maryland won. Louisville smashed Notre Dame last night in South Bend. It has not been good the first 2 seasons for Micah Shrewsbury as the head coach of the Irish, and he let a little bit of that out last night.
Don't give up on these kids, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I sat there and watched more Louisville fans in here than Notre Dame people, and that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for me, because I'm the head coach here. And yes, I got us in this predicament. But don't come back when we're losing or when we're winning, because we're turning this around, man. You better believe that. Everybody that gave up on me, believe it. Write this date down and believe it, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I don't care if you gave up on me.
What? My man, slamming microphones and knocking things off the table, not having it.
He was not. Hey, you know what? I like the passion. I like the fire. Now get some players. How about that? I love the passion.
That's the problem. They have no talent. The Catholics don't want to spend money on their basketball program, only the football. That's it. Bottom line.
It's true. It's 100%
The girls' team is number 1 in the country. They spend more on the girls' team than the boys. That's a fact.
It's a fact. The committee did say, just like you talked to Jerry about, Auburn, Alabama, Duke, and Florida were their top 4 seeds in their bracket preview this weekend. So those were their ones with the bracket that they have out. They do this every year now. They put out who they have as their top 16 before it gets going.
I mean, it's just, look, it's fantastic. Look, I actually, that's great and everything. I like Jerry's regions. I think his breakdown of the 4 regions is phenomenal. And I think that all 4 regions are sickening, kick-ass basketball. It's better than the NBA, hands down.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so did you see the other big women's story from college rack over the weekend? Not that Notre Dame being number one isn't big enough, but how about what UConn did at South Carolina?
Yeah, what UConn did at South Carolina, big time, that's for sure, as they ended South Carolina's 71-game home winning streak. 87, and they bashed them. I mean, 87-58. They smoked them. So what a win for UConn, who's 24-3, and they are once again. Watch out for UConn when we get into March for the women's tournament. They're going to be dangerous. They've had some big wins lately as they continue to move along. Notre Dame is the new number one in the women's, by the way, this week, and they play Duke tonight. I think that game's on ESPN also on the ladies' side. On the men's side, light night when it comes to college rack. I do have a few games that will feature, and then you can tell me if you like any of the stragglers. We'll start in Charlottesville, Virginia, where Duke comes calling for the Cavaliers tonight. Duke minus 13.5. I'm even seeing 14.5 in some spots. 132.5 now for the total.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I've won some money on Virginia this year, but I don't buy them tonight. I don't. I still think Duke is too tough defensively. I think they'll go into Charlottesville and win that game by 15 or more. I think Duke's way better, flat out.
I'm with you. I think Duke's way better as well. I don't think they're going to mess around. They've had their tough road loss in the ACC already this year when they lost that game a couple weeks ago. I don't think they're going to get another one.
At Clemson,
I think they smash Virginia.
At Little John.
They'll smash Virginia tonight. Big 12 has a couple of games as well. Arizona down to Waco. They'll see Baylor this evening. Baylor, 1.5-point favorite here, 151.5 to total.
Yeah, I kind of like Baylor in Waco. I saw them win that game at home against West Virginia in overtime the other day. Saturday, it was, I think, a 3-point game in overtime. And then here they are tonight laying 1.5. I need them to win by a bucket. I think Arizona's really tough. I think they're a lot tougher in the McHale Center, where they lost this weekend, and now they got to go to Waco. This smells like double trouble to me. Loss at home, loss on the road.
And finally, other Big 12 game, Kansas State takes the trip to Utah. Now, that was not a good trip, as we know, for Kansas the other night. They lost at Utah. Kansas State lost at BYU. Now they play the Utes, who are -2.5, 147.5 the total.
Look, every time they play at home, they win. And when they go on the road, they lose. Utah on the road is a loss. At home, it's a win. I'm going to go with the Utes in Salt Lake, lay the 3.
That's really it from a games that matter standpoint. I don't know if you have any gas on Nichols in New Orleans or Stephen F. Austin.
I do.
Lehigh, Bucknell. Let me know.
Okay, so the game that stands out to me is Murray State against Northern Iowa. They beat them at Northern Iowa by 3, and they really haven't had their best season or team. That they've always been really good, Murray State. Every year they're good in hoops, and so is Northern Iowa. But they beat them at Northern Iowa, and tonight they're at home, and they're getting to – the game was supposed to be yesterday, got weathered out. They're playing it tonight. I like Murray State tonight, getting the 2 at home without a doubt. Another team I like, Corpus Christi tonight at home, laying 9.5 against Houston Christian. They're at home. Houston Christian is awful. Corpus Christi's tough. They got a winning record. They're good. I say they wipe them out at home. Those are the ones that stand out to me. The other game is Southern. I think Southern's going to cover 7 against Texas Southern. And Jerry Palm has Southern as the last team into the tournament. They're good. Tonight they'll prove it and cover that 7 spot.
There you go. Some straggler games for you on a Monday night. Now, tomorrow is obviously much better. Much better for college track. So we will do all that. Purdue, Michigan State, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Illinois, Wisconsin tomorrow night, Houston, Arizona State. So there's a lot of good games tomorrow that we will get to. The TGL's getting good too. JT just made a big putt with the hammer for Atlanta to tie the match at 5-5. They're on the 13th here. Let's go get this Atlanta win. Come on.
What is it? It's tied up.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast here on a Monday. Carver High here with you. And, of course, every week it is great to have our man Smiley Kaufman with us. You can catch the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid. Multiple new episodes a week. Now we're really rocking. We're into golf season. It's all happening. Smiley, good to see you, as always, my man. Now, before we get to Ludwig, Genesis, and all this other stuff, we're having a lot of fun with this here today. We've been watching. This was actually a brilliant idea with the TGL. Now, they've had a few weeks of this. President's Day Monday, doing a triple header, 3 matches. You have a couple teams playing 2 matches today. And the matches have been good. I haven't really gotten your opinion of this yet. I haven't gotten to talk to you about it. What do you think of the TGL? Because I think the biggest thing about it, Smiley, is, and what's best for these players, is you do get to see a side of guys that you don't normally see unless they go and see you on Friday afternoons. That's the only other time you see it. You get to see a little personality from these guys outside of the regular PGA schedule.
That's right. And I like it. I enjoy watching it. Even the blowouts that happened kind of early on in the TGL season. I think it's also introducing golf and these PGA Tour players to a completely different viewership and market, which I think the PGA Tour and TGL were hoping to reach, which is a younger demographic that doesn't have quite the attention span maybe for a full broadcast on the PGA Tour, but they can consume what would be a different form of golf, being TGL, and it's not something that's going to last the whole year. You got to remember, this is just a hot pocket of just this Florida and West Coast swing they're playing. I think it ends in March. So January to March doesn't seem to completely take over what people deem to be true golf. It's a fun league. Guys are having fun. And like you said, you're going to see some personalities.
You're going to see some personalities. And I know all these guys, this is the tough part for them today, especially Ludwig. All these guys played at the Genesis at Torrey Pines yesterday. And you talk about you couldn't find a longer flight than the Southern California all the way to South Florida to go play in this TGL thing. But they all are there. They're all chipper. Ludwig, I guess, didn't party too hard last night after winning a cool $3.2 million. So everybody's having a great time with the TGL here. My favorite part was Wyndham Clark when he saw that Glover was putting after they dropped the hammer, and he said, "Oh, it's Lucas? Okay, we'll keep the hammer out there. Go ahead." Lucas is putting, and sure enough, he missed it, and that's the fun stuff.
I didn't see that. That's great.
Clark said, actually, it was Wyndham Clark that said it. He goes, "Is that Lucas' turn? Yep, keep the hammer out there. He miss it." So,
man, I got to go back and watch that. That's the type of banter you're kind of looking for, right?
Yeah. It's cool. Let's talk about Ludwig. Big win, of course, yesterday. He left. Of course, we all were on him the first time. They were at Torrey Pines a few weeks ago. Gets sick at the end. Then he has to get out of Pebble because he wasn't feeling well. But we thought he was great for the course. He was great for the course, Smiley.
He was, and if you happen to just watch the full broadcast on Sunday, it kind of came on air with Ludwig making par at the 6th hole, the par 5, a hole that you just expect to make a birdie on. It feels like if you make par on Sunday on that hole, you're not going to win the tournament. And he was coming off 2 straight misses for pars on the prior holes at 4 and 5. So basically, it feels like he just made 3 straight bogeys. And really, he wasn't a part of the storyline hardly at all, because he was just kind of hanging around right around 7, 8 under. And all of a sudden we see Maverick McNeely just pole vaulting up the leaderboard, and he's 9 under through 13 holes, which is just insane at Torrey Pines. So it just kind of felt like it was going to be a Maverick McNeely week. Towards the end, he doesn't birdie 18. And then all of a sudden, Ludwig makes birdie at 13, and then he makes a long putt at 15. And you're like, holy crap. Is Lo Berger going to win this golf tournament? He's got a legit chance. It was just a weird one, right? Because there were so many guys and storylines that you're trying to tell with, first-time potential winners and Denny McCarthy and Patrick Rogers in that final group. You got a surging Scotty Scheffler that everybody is on pins and needles to see if, all right, is Scotty back? So Ludwig just kind of creeped his way through that Sunday leaderboard, and not surprising as we all know how talented this player is. He's so long, so straight, and how he hits it off the tee. Incredible iron player, wedge player. His mental game is incredible. He's like I said earlier on the our Smiley show last night, he's, if I had to guess a player who I think could be the number one player in the world after Scottie Scheffler, I think Oberg would probably be like near the top of my list.
I was going to say that. Everybody check that out. That's on the next Smiley show. You guys discuss who
it's
could
out.
be the next
That's
guy that slides in. That's out now. Check that out for it. And speaking of Scotty, I saw him say afterwards, of course, like, yeah, I don't really think I'm playing like myself yet. He's coming off playing 3 weeks in a row. I know he didn't win any of these weeks, but, man, Smiley, he looks pretty good to me. I guess last year he won so much that the bar is set so high, but if he's only got to go up, eventually these T7s and T4s, he's coming around the corner, Arnie, and you know how well he always plays there.
Well, it's been a little bit of the ball striking to start the year that's been a little bit off. I would say that he's kind of been dealing with a little bit of a left miss off the tee and at times with iron. Shots that typically, move left or right for him are just kind of hanging there, and if anything, turning the other way. So kind of dealing with a bit of a not able to eliminate the left side of the golf course quite as much as he normally does. So you'd like to see him drive it a little better, which he started to do that on Sunday. Saturday didn't drive it as well, but I would say the one promising thing is that how poorly he typically has putted on the West Coast the last couple of years. To see him putt, I'd say fairly well at Pebble and Torrey, and then Phoenix obviously had a decent week with a putting stroke. I think that's a positive as you head to Bermuda greens and bent greens that we saw him putt so well on throughout the year, and how much cleaner it looks inside of 8 to 10 feet. So I think if anything, as we lead up to the first major of the year, let's not sound the alarm bells. It's different conditions. It's cold. It's spinnier greens, Poana. So with that, I'm not like sounding any alarms, but I agree with you. I think he still looks really good, but I think our expectations for him are just so stupid, right? Like you look at the numbers every week for him, you're just like, these are Tiger Woods betting odds.
They certainly are. It's tough. I know I can't play him at 3.5, 4 to 1 pre-tournament before there's even a ball in the ground. 72 holes to go. I'm not playing a guy at 4 to 1. We go to Mexico this week before we hit the Florida swing. Now, this is one of these weeks you don't have the big names going down there, but you have a lot of guys, Smiley, who have been playing some pretty good golf, and I think there's some opportunities here. It hurts to lose Mav. And Mav, could you not take the driver out on 17 there? You didn't need to take the driver out on 17. He withdrew this morning. He was supposed to play, but second place money he sits. Akshay has been playing good. Patrick Rogers was in the mix this weekend. Michael Kim's been playing well. We have some guys here in Mexico, Smiley, playing good golf. Anyone you got your eyes on?
Well, I think you just said a couple of them. I think Michael Kim's a great play at Vedanta. He's been in the final group here before. I was actually walking with him 2 years ago. He was paired with John Rahm, and then John Rahm and Tony Finau took off that year. Jake Knapp, he's kind of started to pick up some form. He's a defending champion. And Akshay Bhatia, this golf course in particular, being around it a couple times, it's very, very long. You have a lot of middle to long irons. So that would be, if you're going to look at a metric, it's going to be about guys like accuracy is not an issue off the tee. It's a big ballpark. You want guys who can hit it long, but also really good middle to long iron players. There's only a couple crucial drives that you got to be able to hit, but if you're able to keep those in play, it's a golf course about like how good are you with proximity, kind of in that, I would say 150 to 225 would probably be the area where you're going to have a lot of shots.
And you're right. Defending champ Jake Knapp going off at 40 to 1 right now. He's been playing some good golf the last few weeks. Smiley Kaufman, check out the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He made it!
Did he?
He missed it by an inch. I missed it by an inch. I thought it was going in. Oh, what a putt by Thomas, but he missed and they lose. What a putt. I mean, this thing had a hook on it. Oh, the humanity.
Gotta be kidding me.
Oh, what a putt. And he missed. Oh, my son of a.
That is awful. All right.
Brutal.
Well,
everybody loves Smiley like everybody loves hockey. It's the craziest thing. You got a little Smiley action.
Got a little bit on Mondays here on Coast to Coast. All right. I have some NFL notes for you here to get through. You talk about a guy having a couple bad weeks. Justin Tucker of the Ravens. This is like starting to become like the Watson thing, right? It started as like 4 or 5, then it gets to 9. I think your boy's up to like 15 or 16 now. 7 more women have accused Ravens kicker Justin Tucker of sexually inappropriate behavior at some high-end spas in the Baltimore area. I gotta tell you, I'm a little surprised that they haven't just released him at this point. Because I'm a little surprised.
But again, here we go with the. How many times am I going to do this? Here we go again with believing the guy over 15 women that say they've been sexually assaulted. How many women? What do you got to have? 25, 30? At what point do you just stop with all the bullshit and realize that you've got more than one woman saying that he sexually assaulted them? Then it gets to 3, 5, 7, 10, 16, 20. I mean, when are we going to believe the women? I mean, listen, I don't have this problem, so I'm not afraid to say it. Okay, I don't do these kinds of things. So when I see 16 women say that they were sexually assaulted by Justin Tucker, then hang them high. Like, that's it, hang them high. Like, I don't even need to go to court. Like, you know, people, innocent until proven guilty. I mean, how many people have to get raped before you believe them? Like, it is beyond me that we never believe the women. All we do is believe these athletes. It's so backward-assed. It's not even funny. I had him convicted after like 4. I mean, the first 2, I'm like, oh man, he got a problem. 4, I'm like, guilty. Done. Like back in the day, like, you know, listen, I hate to say it because it's not the same thing, but you know how they deal with these things in Russia? It's over. You're guilty. Done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Finished.
You're done. No matter what you do, you smoke weed, you're done. It's 15 years in a hard labor. You're done.
Gotta go. What are you gonna do? Gotta go. Finished.
This guy obviously did it. Did Watson do it? He paid them all off. People that pay off women that say they raped them are guys that raped them. It's just simple.
Amazing. It really is.
I should have been a lawyer. I think I could have been. The money I could have made.
Could have made a lot.
Honestly. And I'm greedy. I really am guilty.
Free agency is a few weeks away. We are almost there. Teams with the most cap space going into this. Now, the Pats, Raiders, Washington, Chargers, Bears, Cardinals. Now, this got updated from the weekend because this we were supposed to use on Friday. When the Steelers released Preston Smith, that actually jumped them to 53 or 54. So they'd be on this list as well.
I love
towards
it.
the
Top
bottom.
10.
The Steelers. Yes, the Steelers would be in the top 10 of cap space after releasing Preston Smith.
If they go make a deal for Matt Stafford, I'm going to cut my thumbs off.
Well, they are one of the teams that allegedly has been in discussion to make that happen.
Christ, the guy's like Father Time.
I don't think that would be a good match. I know you don't either.
In the North.
Wouldn't
He'll take
be a
his
good
hat
match.
off.
Not ideal. The Seahawks looking to add more to that list or try to jump themselves up. They're expected to part with Tyler Lockett. That would save them $17 million in cap space. We gave you that story about the Giants and the Rams on Friday. Over the weekend, Adam Schefter said there is, quote, no way in hell the Giants would trade the 3rd overall pick for Matthew Stafford. We said that too. We said there's no way in hell on Friday that the Giants would do that. So, I mean, honestly,
what don't we know? Honestly, what don't we know on this show?
We also told you how the Giants are looking to sell 10% of their franchise. Well, apparently Eli Manning is trying to buy a piece of the New York Giants when it goes up for sale. Eli, the owner, he's got enough money from all this TV stuff that he does. Jeez.
I actually think it would be a good thing for their franchise if he owned a piece of it. It's like Brady owning a piece of the Raiders. To me, the Raiders have lost their reputation of mattering. I know they have their 3 Super Bowl trophies, but it's been so long, they don't matter anymore. All they do is lose. Now you get Brady in the mix, you matter. If they got Eli Manning, we wouldn't have to watch this old man Mara butcher this team like he has. And at least I'll give Tish credit. He never sticks his nose in it. He just owns a piece of it. Like, he doesn't stick his nose in the mess. And I got to tell you, Mara's hiring tactics have been disastrous. Every person he's hired in the last 20 years has been a disaster. Every single one of them. Every
Not
coach,
a good scene.
Every GM, every single move he's made has been a fail. Fail.
LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacey was expected to be a first-round pick in the draft this year, but he has not been invited to the NFL Combine. That's because he's currently facing felony hit-and-run and reckless operation of a vehicle charges. That will get you not invited to the Combine. It'll probably also get you not picked in the first round.
Listen,
talented
when
player.
you kill people and flee the scene, and it's like an old man, and you think you're going to get away with it because you're smarter than everybody, and you kill somebody, you're not invited to anything except prison.
Correct. We will come back with leftovers, including a long day at the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. None of Luke's picks came in. I played all of them, and none of them came in.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. the New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, there you go. So leftovers. Speaking of leftovers, you can have that Daytona 500. Like I didn't watch 1 second of it.
They had a 4-hour rain delay in the afternoon, which means they put it under the lights. There was a bunch of wrecks at the end. This William Byron won for the second year in a row. How bad is NASCAR's product that they have a guy who's won their biggest race 2 years in a row, and nobody could pick him out of a lineup? Nobody has any idea who William Byron is. Like, that just screams your sport has a problem. No one knows who the guy who's won your biggest race the last 2 years is. Get somebody in the marketing department at NASCAR.
He's making a name for himself now.
I mean, geez. So congrats to him. I did play all of Luke's tickets, and unfortunately, you lose. You lose. So that's how it goes sometimes.
And another Byron one, you lose. All three of them were winless.
Byron was 22-1 as a win. The Genesis. We've done a lot of golf today. So this Ludwig Hebert won the Genesis. Good Golf Wednesday here on C2C. The Prime Minister and Stewie both had Ludwig Hebert. So both of them with the win. Luke played him as well. Nice job by Luke.
So he's going to give us NASCAR picks every week, and he says already that he's going to turn it around immediately.
But after he won, before he had to jump on that jumbo jetliner red-eye to South Florida to do the TGL, you know, you got to celebrate on the West Coast. Me and you have said this before. There's only one place to celebrate. Let's find out where Ludwig went.
What will you have tonight? What will your celebratory meal be?
Oof, good question. I feel like this is my last day on the West Coast for quite some time, so I think In-N-Out would be appropriate. I'm not going to be back on the West Coast for a while, so I think I'll take advantage of that opportunity.
Little In-N-Out for a
Did he say In-N-Out?
Yes,
Is that what he said?
it.
I didn't hear him.
In-N-Out. Going to In-N-Out.
All right, there you go.
He said, I'm going
Everyone
to In-N-Out
loves
burger.
In-N-Out burger. You got to be
animal
stoned,
style.
though.
Animal style for Ludwig. Tiger did join the CBS broadcast yesterday, talked about the passing of his mom, other issues. Everyone's going to play together again.
Whatever.
Tiger also says he's going to play. I think Tiger's going to play the Players also, by the way. It's his last year of eligibility in that he gets into it. So I think he's going to play the Players in a few weeks over
So what?
there.
He's not winning anything.
He'll be in the TGL tomorrow night for his team, and no, he is not winning anything. Ex-Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden was named the Broyles Award winner as the nation's top assistant coach. Too bad he's gone now. He's in Cincinnati with the Bengals.
He's in the NFL.
Yannick Sinner gets a 3-month ban for the positive doping test, setting off all of the current and former tennis players to bash the system, including, of course, our favorite, Nick Kyrgios. Right. I mean, I'm being kind when I said the deal was too soft. Kyrgios went off about him only getting 3 months.
How about this guy? He wins all the slams now because, Federer's gone, Nadal's gone, the Joker's now suddenly old, and Sinner wins everything. And he juices and still gets to win majors. And then after he wins the Australian Open, they suspend him for 3 months. And the suspension ends right before the start of the French Open at Roland Garros, so he gets to play in that. It is unbelievable that this guy gets to juice and still play and win millions and win slams. He's a juicer. He's a doper. My man cheats, and they let him. Tennis is a joke. That's just all there is to it. The Ferrall finish. Dallas Mavs assistant coach Darrell Armstrong arrested and charged with assault with a gun. Your guy was rolling around allegedly with his gun threatening people. Former White Sox closer Bobby Jenks has stomach cancer. New York will be pummeled this week with a nor'easter. And they're saying 1.5 feet of snow and minus 50 wind chills. What? Minus 50? What is this? Yellowtail? What is happening here? 1.5 feet and minus 50 wind chills and winds. Unbelievable. Did you see? It was a few weeks ago, but it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Did you see at the Aldi shopping center in Chicago, the cop yanked coyote, a wild coyote out of the frozen section? He pulled a giant coyote out of where the eggs are. No wonder there's an egg shortage. Forget the bird flu. Who's stashing coyotes at the grocery store? GTD is next. Get my app, search Ferrall. We'll see you tomorrow on Coast to Coast.
Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
But if it ends up being 1 versus 2, which seems likely because the Cavs have a 5.5 game lead over Boston, the Celtics 3 games clear of the New York Knicks.
They're not unstoppable, not running away with everything, but for them to blow a 5.5 game lead on the backstretch in the NBA, already being a quality team outside of disastrous injuries, I don't buy that at this time.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on Sport.